Yeah, we came here to visit the Charlie Brown sign, and we just happened to run into a relative of Charlie Brown. He's
okay, who is Charlie Brown?
Charlie Brown was the first African-American millionaire in the state of Texas.
Okay.
As you can see what the sign says.
All right. And tell me, what do the sign say there?
It says Charlie Brown, born a slave in the late 1820s, came to Brazoria County area from Virginia before the Civil War. Despite being illiterate and using an X for his mark beside his name on legal transactions, Brown acquired a vast amount of land according to Brazoria County property tax. Between 1889 and 1910, he owned approximately 3,000 acres, including much of the land is in West Columbia today. Okay.
All right, everybody, we live right here in the front of the historical landmark of Mr. Charlie Brown?
Charlie Brown.
And boy, we are blessed. We got the ancestors of Mr. Brown, and I'm gonna let you talk and tell us about your descendant of Mr. Brown.
Great-grandfather.
That's your great-grandfather?
My great-grandfather on my dad's side, on the mom's side.
All right. Donna, why don't you come on in here, and you guys, because this is a historical guy right here.
Okay.
And I'm gonna let you have the mic there, Don, and talk about some of the things that Mr. Charlie Brown had accomplished during his time being a former slave.
Now, as a matter of fact, it's good that we ran into him, because I just knew that he owned some land here, but I didn't know exactly how much. And as I'm learning today, he actually owned all of the land that we're standing on.
2/3 of West Columbia.
Two-thirds of West Columbia. That's quite a bit of land. As the sign said, he owned approximately 3,000 acres. That's a lot of land. Okay. And so, the descendant here is Mr. Woodson. Okay.
Right.
You want to tell us a little bit about your great-grandfather, sir?
Well, first of all, I'm very proud of my great-grandfather. I'm his relative on my dad's side, and Charlie Brown's daughter was the oldest of the group.
Okay.
And he gave up a lot of property. He had a lot of business. He had all races of people, and he was very generous with giving back to the community.
Yes.
And he gave to the schools, churches, and it's just amazing that a former slave could be a millionaire back in those days.
Yes. And as I understand, he's actually the first millionaire, the first African-American millionaire in the state of Texas, and that's a big feat.
First African-American, supposed to have been the richest African-American in Texas, and a lot of people tell me they seen papers that he was the 5th richest man in Texas.
Wow.
Now, I don't know.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah. But like you see, West Columbia, they say he had the first electricity in a house in West Columbia.
And is that amongst whites and blacks?
Whites and blacks.
Wow.
He was the largest landowner and taxpayer in Brazoria County. And with those 3 businesses, he had about 2,000 to 3,000 acres out in what they call Dansinger, Texas right now. Okay. That's where he bought the plantation from his former guy that he used to work for. So he had a lot of property.
That's pretty significant, because I've actually heard something about he actually bought one of the plantations from a person that he was working for at one point in time.
Yeah, the Dance brothers. Is his wife Isabel. She was well, I don't want to say slave, but she was with the Dances. So he got with the Dances and ended up buying she went from a slave to the first lady of the house.
Isn't that amazing?
It is, really is.
You was a slave at one time on the plantation, and then your husband buys the plantation, and you become the first lady of the same plantation that you was a slave on.
Right. So.
That's good.
It is amazing, man. I got to get back in this picture again, boy. This is so much history here in Brazoria County, and I'm so thankful that, I tell this young man, for all you people out there at Jack Yates, this man know about the Turkey Day Classic.
Turkey Day Classic, one of the largest football attendance in the state of Texas. I think in 1961, I think it was something like 70,000, they said.
Yes, indeed. I'm an old Jack Yates man, and I've been dealing with them Turkey Day Classic ever since 1957. And we played in the last Turkey Day Classic was in 1966. And the Turkey Day Classic was the north side, which is Phyllis Wheatley, and the south side, which was Jack Yates. And then everybody know about us Lions, y'all. And I'm so thankful that Don here along with one of the...
As a matter of fact, Don Williams is just learning that part of history. Of course, I wasn't around in 1950s. I wasn't around until 1964.
Okay. And then what did you know about this Turkey Day thing?
I started probably in 1961.
Wow.
My first one I went to.
And you was way out here in West Columbia and you heard about it?
Yeah, no, my sister lived in Houston.
Oh, okay.
And her stepchildren went to Yates, and she moved to Sunnyside, and so they moved out to Sunnyside. But they were all for Yates because they had went to school in Yates.
All right, but they lived on the south side.
Yeah, but they went to school, they finished school in Worden, but we was all big Yates fans.
Oh, because we were raised up with the DNA come out of 3rd Ward to Sunnyside. Just like the DNA came out of 5th Ward to Cashmere and Trinity Garden.
There you go, there you go, yeah.
So this is what we're doing. We're trying to make the young people understand their DNA and where they come from. Just like my man Don here, he's a very historical person, but still again, he wasn't around.
Yeah, exactly. Wasn't around until October 1964.
You know, and we're so thankful that we can come out here and do this piece on your ancestors, Mr. Brown, because it's stuff like, you know, it's information and history like this, sir, that we enjoy the young people need to know about.
Need to know about because it's not in the history books.
All right, as we're talking, I'm actually learning a lot more information. I was always trying to look for the chimney that Mr. Brown had built. And as I'm learning from his great-grandson, the chimney is actually right behind him in the property which he lives in. Okay, you want to talk about that, sir?
Yeah, well, that chimney is one of the first houses he had when he moved. Well, he didn't move, but he built a house in West Columbia. First home in West Columbia he built because he couldn't travel every day back and forth to Dansinger, which is about 9-10 miles. So all his businesses were here in West Columbia. So what he did was built a house in West Columbia for him to stay over. And the chimney that's, well, guys might take a picture of it later. The chimney is still there. The house is torn down, but I left the chimney there.
Okay.
And where we standing was where his 2-story house is, which was his home. He moved that from East Columbia, which is about 3 miles east of West Columbia. They moved it. It took them 6 months to move it. They moved it with pack mules on rolling logs. Now that's something to move a 2-story house that far.
With pack mules.
With pack mules on rolling logs and set it.
It's difficult to move it with the truck,
Right.
let alone pack mules and rolling logs.
What is pack mule?
There's some heavy duty mules they call them that muscle up where they can really pull work mules.
They can pull a lot of weight.
They pull a lot of weight. Work mules is what they call them.
Oh, wow. And what did he have that house at before?
It was in East Columbia, about 3 miles east of West Columbia.
Okay, because we in West Columbia now, right?
Yeah, we in West Columbia now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And wow, man, that is and right here is what he had right here where we at today.
This is why he moved that 2-story home.
Oh, this is where you moved it.
That's why he moved it. That's why he set it right here.
And brought it into West Columbia.
Right.
Oh wow, man,
Yeah.
that is real history. Thank you.
And that's actually the reason why they have the historical marker here. I just thought that he was.
We accidentally left that off. We was intending to put home of the Charlie Brown was here.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we really thank you so much.